Shane van Gisbergen is furious. Not because the car was slow, not because something broke, not because luck went against him, but because at Martinsville he did almost everything right and still walked away with a result that feels completely wrong. That's the kind of finish that doesn't just disappoint you, it sticks with you. Let's break it down. Van Gisbergen qualified 5th, a career-best oval start in the NASCAR Cup Series. In practice, his car was barely in the conversation. It ranked 34th fastest, the kind of number that usually signals a long, frustrating day ahead. But when it mattered most, everything flipped. One lap, one moment. He was just 0.064 seconds off the pole, landing him on the 3rd row of the grid. And it wasn't just luck. He outqualified both of his Trackhouse teammates Ross Chastain in 18th and rookie Connor Zilisch back in 25th. A massive gap in performance inside the same organization. But here's what makes it even more impressive. Van Gisbergen was actively adapting his entire driving style going into Martinsville. He was switching from right foot braking to left foot braking on ovals, a major change in how a driver controls the car. At a track like Martinsville, where braking points are everything, that's not a small adjustment. That's a complete reset. So much so that he physically modified his pedals to commit fully to the change. No turning back. And still, he qualified 5th. That alone tells you how quickly he's adapting at this level. When the race started, he looked calm, controlled, and consistent. Stage 1, solid run, finished 6th, no mistakes, clean execution. Stage 2, more of the same, slight handling issues, but still strong, finished 8th and banked valuable stage points. 8 stage points total. Quietly, that was building a foundation for a top finish. Then came Stage 3 and everything got aggressive. Van Gisbergen and his crew made a bold strategy call: pit early for an undercut. It worked. For a brief moment, the number 97 car jumped all the way up to 2nd place, even ahead of Denny Hamlin. Suddenly, a top finish wasn't just possible, it looked real. But Martinsville doesn't forgive strategy for long. Tire wear caught up fast. Cars on fresher rubber began rolling through. And then chaos hit. A debris caution completely reset the race. Chase Elliott pitted under caution and gained a massive advantage, flipping the entire front of the field. Then, on the restart, everything exploded. Bubba Wallace went into the back of Carson Hocevar, triggering a 1-2 car pileup that tore the field apart. Wallace's race was over instantly, and the championship picture shifted in seconds. Van Gisbergen restarted 9th with fresh tires, but this is where the problem showed up. Restarts. Every time the field went green, he couldn't get the launch right. He got boxed out, lost positions, and couldn't recover them. 1 or 2 spots gone, every single restart. And in Martinsville, that's all it takes. He said it himself. I just wasn't good enough on the restarts. I'd lose 1 or 2 spots and couldn't get them back. By the end, he fought back just enough to pass teammate Ross Chastain and salvage 11th place. But the top 10? It was already gone. Over the radio, Shane van Gisbergen kept it simple, but you could hear the frustration behind it. Good job. Sorry I couldn't hold on to the top 10. That's the kind of message that tells you everything about how close he was and how quickly it slipped away. Up front, the race belonged to Chase Elliott. He held off Denny Hamlin by just over half a second to take the win. It was Chevrolet's first victory of the 2026 season and a historic one for Hendrick Motorsports, marking their 31st Martinsville win, the most ever by any team at a single track in Cup Series history. And the timing made it even more symbolic. Exactly 11 years to the day since Elliott's first ever Cup start, which also happened at Martinsville. Meanwhile, Denny Hamlin had one of those days that defines Martinsville heartbreak. He led 292 of 400 laps, swept both stages, and even set the fastest lap of the race. Statistically, he did almost everything right. But it still wasn't enough. A late restart mistake, a missed shift, and possibly a loose left rear wheel changed everything. His crew called it exactly what it felt like: a gut punch. And in one of the strangest twists of the day, Hamlin actually scored more total points than Elliott, 56 to 55, thanks to stage dominance and bonus points. But the win still slipped away. That's Martinsville. No matter how dominant you are, it only takes one moment. Back in the garage area, Van Gisbergen's performance didn't go unnoticed. Jeff Gluck summed it up perfectly. He was pretty much the best of the non-Big 3 cars all day. Better than the 23 XI cars, better than Spire. And that's where the bigger conversation started. Jordan Bianchi pointed out something important about his development curve. These are exactly the kind of days he needs solid top, won 5 runs, stage points on ovals, and then full dominance on road courses. Because that's the real plan. Road courses are where Van Gisbergen becomes something completely different. 6 straight wins heading into 2026 on those layouts, and everyone knows what's coming when those tracks return. Even other drivers are starting to take notice. He's getting better and better, one competitor admitted. But what makes his day even more impressive is the contrast inside his own team. Ross Chastain, who famously won at Martinsville in 2022 with that wall ride, came in with 3 straight top, 1-0 finishes. He left with 16th place. Rookie Connor Zilisch finished 26th. Same team, same equipment group, completely different results. Right now, Van Gisbergen is clearly operating at another level inside Trackhouse, extracting performance that most drivers simply aren't getting from the same package. And when you look at the numbers, it becomes even more important. That 11th place finish, combined with 8 stage points, turned into a 3-4 point day. That moves him up to 14th in the championship standings. More importantly, he now sits just 16 points above the playoff cut line. In a system where every single point matters, that margin is everything. Van Gisbergen himself knows it too. Every time I come here, I get better. We've got a good notebook now. And then, almost casually, he added something that sums up Martinsville perfectly. People race a lot nicer when you start up front. Simple, honest, and very true. The Cup Series now takes a short break before heading to Bristol Motor Speedway. Another short track, another brutal test, another chance for the story to change. With 19 races still to go, and road courses still ahead, Shane van Gisbergen's championship fight is no longer just possible. It's real.